Well, I managed to download some games.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and be all like, oh, yay, look at me. I can play Kanonas. I'm just not going to do that. It's hard to just sit here and play the game. This was one of the more stressful things I've had to deal with as of late, was trying to basically be able to play something that I own. Partly because I didn't know if I was going to get a refund. I didn't know if I could play my games, and I knew that I know that there's a lot of people out there who are still struggling with this issue. So this is just sort of a little follow-up for all of you. Like I did in that first video, I'm just going to talk about the things I did and what I think eventually worked, as well as a few things I figured out along the way. So on March 29th, Sony announced that they would be closing the PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, and PSP online stores, making it so you can still download games, just not buy new ones. I figured I'd go on and deal with the abysmal load times of the store long enough to get a few games before before they inevitably closed, and I managed to get a batch of a couple of PlayStation 1 classic games, Klonoa here included, and got them ready to download, only to find out I couldn't. After a bit of trial and error, I found I wasn't able to download anything except for data from PlayStation 3 discs, like a Lord of the Rings or whatever, and demos off of the PlayStation Store. And that's where I started doing the attempted fixes. Resetting my console, resetting my router, activating two-factor authentication, shutting off two-factor authentication, formatting the system memory, rebuilding the database within. Everything I could think to do over the course of about 2 days with some help from a few online forums, and nothing worked. And when I decided to just say screw it and try and get a refund, I was met with more walls from Sony and no means of getting my money back. So I made that first video, partially out of frustration and partially to see if I could get some help from anyone out there. And, I was actually a little surprised by the response. I don't really like making rant videos, and I don't really get that many views on my videos to begin with, but this was sort of, special circumstance in terms of that first part. And that's where I left it for that video. But I didn't stop. The day after that video went live, I began to try things again, and even found a few new things to try out. I deleted this PlayStation Store, which is something I completely forgot you could do on PlayStation 3. I logged in and out of both my PlayStation 3 system and every other Sony system that I have, as well as on my phone, and basically anything Sony I had, just in case. I tried using new Ethernet cords, and even tried using Wi-Fi to see if downloading from, maybe it was the cord or anything like that. And finally, I even had a friend of mine log into his system remotely, giving him my info, and nothing. Nothing worked. Until I tried to use my partner's account. Now here's where things get a bit interesting for me. My partner also has a PlayStation account to play games like Fallout 4, but otherwise it mostly goes unused. So I figured I'd try and do all of this with their account, see what would happen. And I ran into absolutely no issues whatsoever. I logged in, went to the store, bought one of the games I had bought on my account previously, and was able to download it with no hiccups or trouble whatsoever. Thinking I had somehow solved this, because, I'm able to download the thing finally, I went back to my account, tried to download that same game, and nothing. So, needless to say, I was perplexed. A little aggravated because I am a trophy hunter and I wanted to do that on my account, and I couldn't, but needless to say, perplexed. Why was their account able to buy games and download them, but mine wasn't? The only reason I could think offhand was that their account wasn't attached to a PlayStation 5 like mine was, but other than that, this really just confirmed that this was about account issues rather than anything else. So I figured I'd try a few more fixes before I went to work that day. I reinstalled everything, I logged back in, turned on two-factor authentication to my account, and just kind of shut off my system for the day from there. 10 hours later, I get back home, booted up the system, and success! I was downloading Klonoa and just about everything else I could off the off chance I couldn't download anything after that, but hey, I was downloading stuff. Now, you may think that I have a solution. I'm able to download games, so obviously you must now be able to download them, right? The problem is I have absolutely no idea what I did to get this to work. Everything I did after I tried that thing with my partner's account was stuff that I had already tried. And with this whole situation, it seems like solutions are more of a case-by-case basis with no real consistency as to what the result ends up being. What ended up helping me personally, I think, was keeping two-factor authentication on for those 10 hours while I was at work, letting it set in and, making it work. But again, I have no way of really confirming that. Sony is still largely silent on this whole issue, and with each passing day, more people seem to be able to access their stuff again, so why would they really care? This isn't like the infamous PlayStation Network shutdown that happened 10 years ago now, where everything, not even just the store, was inaccessible online. And all they really did to fix that was offer a couple of free games that most people already had. What's more, Sony's already said they don't care if people can or can't buy PS3 games, since despite their tagline of play without limits, they're clearly hardlining consumers towards the PlayStation 4 and 5. At this rate, I'm sure they would just as soon shut down the store tomorrow if they could, but that would likely result in a PR nightmare, so they gave us a few months instead. I don't want to talk about the virtues of physical media, since a lot of people watching this probably have shifted to digital libraries. I don't want to talk about the whole situation being a nightmare for game preservation, or that you should boycott Sony or anything like that, because that's not ultimately what I want to talk about. This video is literally just me venting. This whole thing's been a clusterfuck to deal with, and I feel like it's something that Sony could have prevented. They likely had meetings for months before their announcement of the closure, and in those meetings they could have talked about getting some infrastructure updates to the PlayStation 3 store to make sure that something like this didn't happen, or making sure that accounts were set up for something like this to happen. They could have talked about boosting the number of PS3 and older games on PlayStation 4, either through PlayStation Now or through the store itself, or even just looking at the benefits of backwards compatibility beyond just monetary value and reconsider uploading them to the PlayStation 4 and 5 store rather than shutting down an entire store of potential profit. I don't know the infrastructure of the PlayStation Network store, so I don't know how easy it would be to port everything from the PlayStation 3 store onto either the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 stores, but why not try? It would give you more money in the long run, and unless there's like some licensing issue with the games, just don't upload those games. Upload your personal back catalog of games and you're fine, right? Look, for me, overall, I just want people to play games. Be they new or old, Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo, console, mobile, or PC, it just doesn't matter to me as long as you're having fun and no one gets hurt. And right now, this whole situation is hurting a lot of people, and that's really the problem here. I'm going to once again end this video with a plea of sorts to Sony. Sony, please fix this issue. I get that it's really not an issue for you, but there are still a lot of people out there who want to have their PlayStation 3 games. They want to play them again. And hell, in my case, I want to play old PlayStation 1 games. Old games sell, especially in this era of people finding more and more to love about them. I'm not saying you have to keep the PlayStation 3 store alive and well or anything like that. Hell, I honestly just suggested uploading it to the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 because I thought of it while recording this. But maybe take a page out of Microsoft's book for once and allow us the chance to at least relive some of these. Give us the choice rather than saying you play without limits and then implementing all of these limits. I honestly think that that's all I have to say. So if you're experiencing issues at this point, I mean, I'll include some steps like right now of what I took in text form, so you can maybe like try and follow those and see if that works for you. Keeping two-factor authentication on for a few hours before you try and use it on your system might help. I don't know. If you really want it, just try and do what you can and keep going. But for now, I think I'm just going to get back to playing some Klonoa because I finally can. And I honestly don't know how long I'll be able to. So thank you for watching, and I don't know, take care.